Welcome to English Page. Today's story is a mystery called The Silent Guest. Listen carefully, follow the clues, and see if you can figure out who did it before the end. Let's begin. It was a cold, rainy evening in November when Detective Clara Monroe arrived at the old Seaside Hotel. The waves outside crashed against the rocks, and the wind howled like a warning. Clara pulled her coat tighter around her and stepped through the front doors of the Brightmoor Inn. The hotel had once been grand. Its tall windows, dark wood, and gold chandeliers still held a trace of its former elegance, but now everything felt quiet. Too quiet. The manager, Mr. Holloway, greeted her at the front desk. He was a tall, thin man with gray hair and nervous eyes. "Detective Monroe," he said, shaking her hand. "Thank you for coming. We're all quite shaken." "I got here as soon as I could," Clara replied. "Tell me what happened." Mr. Holloway looked around, lowered his voice, and said, "There's been a death, a guest, room 207. We found him this morning." "Name?" Clara asked, already pulling out her notebook. "Mr. James Redford. He checked in 2 days ago, alone." "'Cause of death?" We don't know yet. The doctor said it looked like poisoning." Clara's eyes narrowed. "Poison? That's not something that just happens." She went to room 207 immediately. The room was clean, almost untouched. On the table sat a teacup half full. Beside it, a journal. The man had written in it the night before. Clara read the last entry aloud. "I saw something I shouldn't have. I don't know who to trust. If anything happens to me, it wasn't an accident." Now Clara knew this wasn't just a mystery, it was murder. She started interviewing the guests. There were only 6 others staying at the hotel. Mrs. Agatha Bell was an elderly woman who came to the seaside every fall to write poetry. She wore purple gloves and carried a little dog named Pip. "I hardly knew the man," she said. "Saw him once in the hallway. Quiet fellow, pale, looked worried." Mr. Thomas Green was a businessman in his 40s. He said he was on a break from the city. "I had dinner with Redford once. He said nice guy, talked a lot about books. Didn't mention anything strange." "Did you notice anything unusual?" Clara asked. "Not really, except he kept checking the time, like he was waiting for something." Lila Hart was a young artist with wild red hair and paint on her sweater. She stayed in room 205, right next to Redford. "I heard footsteps late at night," she told Clara, "like someone pacing the hallway. And once I heard whispering." "Could you tell who it was?" "No, but I think Mr. Green had a fight with someone the day before. I heard voices coming from his room." "That was a clue." Clara made a note. Dr. Felix Wren was a retired chemistry professor, Clara asked. "You ever meet Redford?" "I saw him reading in the lounge once. He was reading a book on poisons." "Poisons?" "Yes," said Dr. Wren. "It surprised me, but he said he was writing a mystery novel. Maybe it was for research. Or maybe not." Clara kept thinking about that teacup. Penelope Holloway was Mr. Holloway's daughter. She worked as the receptionist. "I only checked him in," she said. "He asked for a room with a sea view." "Anything strange?" He asked for extra sugar like 5 packets. I thought it was odd. Another clue. Owen Black was a handyman who lived behind the hotel. He fixed things and helped with luggage. He was friendly, Owen said, but always looking over his shoulder, like he was scared. Did he tell you why? No, but he asked me if there were security cameras. I told him no. Clara sat in the hotel lounge and reviewed her notes. Redford was scared. He thought someone was watching him. He read books on poison. He wrote in his journal that he couldn't trust anyone. Someone wanted him dead. But who? The doctor's report came back. There was a trace of digitalis in his system, a plant poison. It's bitter, and just a small amount could kill someone if mixed into a drink. The hotel didn't serve anything with digitalis, but Clara remembered. The teacup. She went back to the room and had it tested. The result was clear. Poison in the tea? So, someone had given Redford tea with poison. Now Clara had to ask, who had access to that cup? The maid who cleaned the room? No, she hadn't gone in since the morning before. The front desk? Maybe. Then she remembered. Penelope had said Redford asked for extra sugar. 5 packets. Was the poison in the sugar? She checked the packets in the trash. 4 were still sealed. 1 was missing. She asked Penelope to open the sugar storage. All the hotel packets were identical, but 1 had been resealed, and inside was a powdery substance. The poison! Clara lined up the guests for a final round of questions. She asked Dr. Wren, "Do you recognize this type of poison?" "Yes," he said, frowning. "But I didn't do this. I warned the manager months ago that leaving plant-based chemicals unlocked in the garden shed was dangerous." Interesting. So digitalis grew in the garden? Then she asked Owen, "You work in the garden?" "Yes, but I never touched those plants." "And who else goes in there?" "Mostly the guests just walk by. Except I saw Lila picking flowers there." Clara turned to Lila. "What were you doing in the garden?" Lila looked confused. "I was painting. I liked the colors. I didn't even know those plants were dangerous." Back in the lounge, Clara watched Mr. Green nervously tapping his fingers. She sat beside him. "You and Redford had dinner. Did he say what he was doing here?" Green hesitated. "He said he was investigating something, looking into an old company that scammed people years ago." Clara froze. "Which company?" Green looked away. "Why does it matter?" "Because you used to work for that company, Mr. Green." His face turned pale. "He knew," Clara said softly. "He was going to expose you." "I didn't kill him," Green whispered. "I swear he was bluffing. He didn't have proof." "But he did in the journal." Clara returned to room 207. She flipped through Redford's journal again and found a hidden envelope between the pages. Inside were old letters, reports, everything pointing to Green's involvement in a fraud case from 10 years ago. Redford had tracked him here, maybe to get justice, maybe for revenge. But Green was right. He hadn't killed him, because the final clue was still in the teacup. The poison wasn't stirred. The sugar packet had been dropped in, but never mixed. Redford drank from it slowly. That's why he only had half the cup. He didn't trust it. He tasted something wrong, but it was too late. Then Clara remembered one last thing Mrs. Bell, the poet with the purple gloves, said she'd never spoken to Redford, but the sugar packets were from the lounge. Only guests who had tea downstairs had access to them. Clara checked the security logs. Only Mrs. Bell had tea the night before, in the lounge alone. She pulled Mrs. Bell aside. "Did you know Mr. Redford before he came here?" A pause, then a quiet answer. "He was my son-in-law. He left my daughter after stealing everything, her money, her health. She never recovered. You wanted revenge." Mrs. Bell took off her gloves. Her hands were shaking. "I only meant to scare him," she said. "Just enough to make him sick. But I must have used too much." Clara nodded slowly. "You killed him," Mrs. Bell cried quietly. "I didn't want him to hurt anyone else." Later, as the police took Mrs. Bell away, Clara looked out the window at the sea. The waves still crashed against the rocks. The storm had passed, but the silence in room 207 would remain. Here are some useful words from today's story. Detective, a person who solves crimes. Poison, something that can make you sick or kill you. Suspect, a person who might have done something wrong. Clue, a small piece of information that helps solve a mystery. Evidence, proof that shows what happened. Journal, a notebook where someone writes their thoughts. Pale, light-colored skin, often from fear or sickness. Sealed closed, so nothing can go in or out. Whispering, talking very quietly. Revenge, hurting someone because they hurt you first. Thanks for watching English Page. If you like this story, leave a comment and let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more. See you next time.